PTC's data management solution for small and medium-sized businesses. My name is Jason Hardebeck. I'm the National Support Manager for the PTC Product Solution Groups here at BWIR. None of you have been on our Webcast before. You are in listen-only mode to start off the presentation. If you could please enter all your questions into the box and submit them. We'll get to as many of them as possible at the end of the presentation once the demonstration is done. As I mentioned, my name is Jason Hardebeck. Today's speaker is going to be Kevin Leach. He'll be the one doing the demonstration. He's one of our application engineers. He's been using PTC products for a long time, so he's a great resource. Today's agenda, I'm going to do a real quick 3-minute high-level overview of BWIR. I'll pass it over to Kevin, let him kind of go through what PDM Essentials is, and then I'll take you through a quick overview of what the product does, showing you demonstration examples. Barry-Wehmiller, we're the engineering, manufacturing, and IT consulting group of Barry-Wehmiller, a company that's been in business for over 125 years and approaching $2 billion in revenue. We're a complete product development partner. We work with companies across the entire product development spectrum from conception all the way into retirement. I like to put it in a short way of we help companies get better products to market faster at a lower cost through improvements in people, processes, and technology. This slide shows the 3 core groups we have here at BWIR. Today we're focusing on the PTC side of our business. We are a platinum level PTC partner and provides a full suite of services, training, and products across all their product lines. We also have an engineering solutions group which focuses on product development, whether that's machine design, product design, FEA, reverse engineering, legacy. We also do mechanical controls engineering, machine design. And then we have an enterprise solution group that focuses on ERP, customer relationship management, enterprise asset management. More importantly, is we have expertise in tying all these different parts together. As far as PTC products go, we are one of only 3 platinum level PTC partners in North America, and we're the fastest growing partner last year. We have a great staff of experienced application engineers that average over 15 years of experience using the products both in classroom and real-world experience. This is kind of what I think differentiates us from most of the other partners who maybe you go to a training class and they have someone who's fresh out of school. We have 8 training centers located across the United States. We also provide virtual training, on-site training, mentoring, and can help you customize classes to meet your specific needs. We have a great PLM team who's done over 100 successful PLM integrations, migrations, upgrades, many of which are global implementations, integrations with ERP systems, complex workflows, those kinds of things. I'm going to do a real quick couple questions, poll questions here, and I'm going to pass it over to Kevin. Question 1 is, what is your current data management tool? Windchill PDM Link, Interlink, other, file folders, or none? Give it one more second here, and then we'll go ahead and go to the second question. It looks like it's pretty close. About a third using Windchill PDM Link, a third using file folders, and then a little mixture there of Interlink or none or an other. Let's go to the second question here. Do you work with multi-CAD environment? I'm going to go ahead and make Kevin a presenter now, and he's going to get into the presentation.
Jason, can you see my screen?
Yep, I can see it.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kevin Leach. I am applications engineer for BWIR. I'm about an 18-year Pro E user. I've kind of worked my way up through using network drives into PDM, and then Interlink 3.4 and PDM Complete. And what we're going to talk about today is a little bit of PDM Essentials, so PDME. You know, today's products have become much more complex with a lot of different digital type data. Everything from, you know, regular CAD models, the actual CAD data, whether it be ProE or Solidworks or a couple of the other ones, to drawings, to engineering, you know, calculations and ECNs and, you know, change notices, a lot of bits and pieces of information. And trying to bring all that together is, you know, kind of the focus on what we're trying to talk about today. So when you talk about PDME, a lot of people are, or PDM itself, you know, Windchill or PDM type solution, people are talking about things that have caused them problems in the past, right? Lack of revision control. I sent a file out to somebody in an email, he passed it on and copied it to somebody else. Then all of a sudden nobody's really sure which is the latest version of the file. You can have multiple versions of that file sitting in network drives all over the place, different people's emails. You know, it just starts to get very chaotic, and the more you try to collaborate, the more you try to work together, the harder that becomes. Basic security, right? So we're talking about companies that are trying to, you know, make sure things get backed up properly, and who gets access to things at certain times, and why not let people access, you know, that kind of stuff. It's difficult to share data. It's difficult to pass some of those design concepts along. Manage your Creo files, the bill of materials, be able to search for things quicker and easier, simple release change processes, easy to deploy and configure. These are all PDM essential main attributes, right? This is why people will go to this. It helps with the solutions. But it's not just for PTC Creo or Wildfire, right? It'll work with Solidworks and AutoCAD and Autodesk. Obviously, it works natively right within PTC products, nice and clean, right? You can manage the CAD files, move them around, and we're going to get into some of that when I do the demo. I don't know why my color keeps trying to change, but quickly find the right information, visually identify information, you know. So for the CAD guy, the guy that designed it or the engineer that designed it, you know, finding it might not be that tough, but for somebody else in marketing or somebody else down in the tool room or in the shop might want to see things visually as opposed to just naming conventions. Makes it a little bit easier. Being able to approve, you know, route processes, so, you know, built into the software, right? Release procedures and approval procedures for schemes, right? Versioning schemes. Everyone had the ability to integrate the 3D model. You don't have to use a Creo ProE solid modeling tool just to get some access, right? So if the rules are set up and the groups are set up, they can be in marketing and they can go look for their own thumbnails or open it up in a 3D viewer. Maybe they want to make a, you know, take a snapshot of something. In the past, that was an email to an engineer. An engineer would kind of have to stop what he was doing, have to go find the, you know, the drawing or the model or whatever they wanted, make those JPEGs and email them back to whoever was looking for them. And that doesn't seem like a lot of time, but you know, when you think about stopping what you're doing, doing something for somebody else and coming back, that time is almost double whatever actual time it is because of the thought processes and getting back engaged into what you're doing. And then you multiply that across the corporation, and it really starts to pay dividends when they can kind of start doing some of this stuff on their own. So, you know, just the time savings part to me is huge, right? Being able to collaborate amongst your own workers, you know, or your departments, and not just relying on John, the engineer. Well, I talk to John because he's my buddy and he gets things done for me, right? Well, now you can kind of go do your own stuff. And you can control who has access and to what degree of access, right? So securely manage all of your Creo files, related product, the right size PDM. So this is really designed, the PDME Essentials is designed for that smaller, you know, to mid business. It's not designed for 1,000 users, you know. They're and Jason has got some slides he wants to show at the end that they're kind of focused in that smaller group, right? So it's a much less heavy tool. It allows for people to use it. Multi-CAD, document management, so not just Pro-E stuff or CAD stuff. Promotion request, search, publishing, and visualization. It's all built in. And that was my last slide. So I know nobody came to watch slides, and I know that's always aggravating. So hopefully that's not too bad, and we can kind of move on here. So the way I thought I would show this today was a couple different things. One, we'll get into using some Creo stuff in a minute, but the first thing I want to show is through Internet Explorer. So everybody has used Internet Explorer. Everybody has used some kind of a web-based program. So I have a link up here for my server, which isn't in my location. I'm actually right outside of Philadelphia, and this actual server is in Kansas City. So, you know, we're using the internet to access it. It asks for an authentication when I logged in. It knows who I am. And again, it's Internet Explorer. It's very, you know, sliding in and out, up and down. We can kind of zoom in and zoom out of different parts of the software. The home page is a place where it brings all things together, right? So just like a home page of a website, it kind of brings my information to me, right? So it's kind of one local place for me to go look for stuff. And as a CAD user, I might not ever use Internet Explorer to access this stuff, but I might. So having the ability to do either one without some special client install really, you know, makes my life a lot easier. So on this home page, I can control what I see. So I can go in and very simply say, well, you know what, I don't have any meetings. I don't really want to see my meetings on my home page. Maybe I don't want to see my workspaces on my home page. But I want to see any work that I got checked out or anything I was recently working on or any tasks assigned to me or anything I've actually subscribed to. And we're going to talk about subscriptions because this is one of the really strengths of the software for me as a user. So we'll get back to that in a minute. So the tabs are, you know, very intuitive kind of deals, right? Obviously, a home page is going to get me right back here. So no matter what I do or where I go, if I ever want to get back, all I got to do is click on the home page. And before I leave, if I want to see more of this page, the updates, I can go to the Updates tab, right? So it's just a short version of what's there. If I click on it, it's going to open up its own little page of everything that I've been working on. Right, so we got all the different parts that I've been working on. I have nothing checked out, which is always, it's always funny because when I'm doing a demo, I try to get some basic things across to people. I don't like to come in Monday morning or Tuesday morning. I don't want to come into 1,000 things checked out. I'm a very organized user, so as I'm working through Pro-E and those kind of things, I check things in regularly. I clean out my workspaces. I don't have a million different workspaces. I'm a very clean user. It helps me. I can do basic searches, or I can browse through stuff, right? So I can go in here and I can just browse down, almost like Internet, Windows Explorer, not necessarily Internet Explorer, but Windows Explorer, right? So there's 2 products that I'm actually part of, plus a library, but there could be 100 products on this server. I only have access to 2 of them. So based on my role and based on my access is what I'm actually able to see. So you can see, obviously, Kevin's product. This is my little place to kind of work through things. I have a couple folders put in here for documents and CAD documents. So we're going to go into the CAD documents. I have a blower assembly kind of set up to play around with. And these are files that I've uploaded and checked in. And we'll go back to these and when we get into the Creo side of stuff and talk a little bit more about them. But it's very, it's very intuitive. It allows me to kind of highlight things and just get a visualization of what that looks like. I can zoom around and zoom in and out. And again, I'm only in Internet Explorer. This is not a CAD tool. I can go a little bit higher here and I can say, hey, I want to open this in Creo View. Creo View is a viewer that allows you to, just like I was with the thumbnail, it just gives me a bigger place to kind of work around in my product here. So while I'm in here, I can come in and I can measure things, I can spin things, I can change colors. if I had an assembly open, I could, pull them apart, which I'll do in a second here. But I can go in and play around with some basic sectioning tools. And this is not, like I said, this is not Pro-E, so you don't have to be some master Pro-E user to kind of get some visualization. It's really designed for just that, just making it a little bit easier, right? So we're going to come out. And I can do drawings that way as well. So here's a drawing that I've got sitting in there. And again, I can just open it up in that Creo view. So here's a drawing. If I needed to print that, it's simple enough to go File, Print, right? So just send it to the printer, and off I go. I didn't have to call the engineer. I might be, like I said, I might be in marketing, and I wanted to look up a part. I went and found it, opened up the drawing, took a look at it, maybe zoomed in to look for a specific dimension or, whatever I wanted to look at it. But I have my dimension right there, and I can send it out. I can print the whole thing and be off and running. And again, it's more about not having to go get somebody to do something for me. It's giving me the ability to look through things. Some built-in other tools just in the thumbnail view, right? So it's telling me where that particular crankshaft is being used. So there's an engine assembly, and I can click on that, and it's going to drive me up to the next level. So again, it's a nice way when you're designing things and you want to know, hey, I got to make a major change to this for some new design. I want to know that it's only in one assembly. If it's assembled into 4 or 5 or 6 different things, I need to know that, So I can do these same tools inside Creo, which, like I said, we'll do that as CAD designers in a second. I just, from an outside view, again, if I got to order them, I want to know how many parts are in there, or what's going on. If I want more information of this, there's a little I button here called View Information. You can just click on it. It's going to bring us into that page directly. The page is going to have, again, another viewer where I can just click on it and come into my Creo view. So now this is an assembly to look at. I can spin around here. I can pull things apart, so I can go translate, and I can drag these things up or lower. And again, maybe I just want to make a little thumbnail of this, or take a snapshot for a catalog or something, or who knows. But I can pull that thing apart, and again, this is not overly technical Pro-E stuff. This is just in a viewer, so I'm not hurting any native files. I'm not making changes to anything. I'm just pulling things apart. Drag that guy off the back side. So there's my little exploded view, and then maybe I want to come over and take a snapshot of that. So I use a program called Snagit, but built into Windows 7 is a program called Snippet. Does the same concept. And I'm just going to take a little snapshot of that picture. So there's a JPEG that I've created. Maybe we're having issues out in the factory with, some kind of an assembly issue. I can add some information. I did this without calling up the engineer. Hey, I saved it to a place on my desktop. I put it in so let's just save this as a test. Put it on my desktop, save it. And it's just, again, another great use of this. There's my little JPEG, right? So I can add that to an email and send it to somebody for whatever reason. I don't necessarily need to be that CAD guru just to kind of get some information, right? That's the whole point here. Pretty easy to use. This is not, it's not, a whole big, I got to learn Pro-E to take a look at stuff. So let me close out of this. So on that information page also, we can see information based on the assembly, right? So this is the 3rd version of this. It tells me who was the last one to make changes. So it was modified, it happens to be my login, but modified by me, and the last time I changed this was 2014-2/12. So last week was the last change. I can go to my history of this. I can look at the 3 different assemblies, and if I did a good job, which probably I didn't because I don't see a whole bunch of comments here, I could compare those models for things like when I checked it in, why did I check it in? What changes did I make? So I can check through some of this. And if I had done a good job with my check-in comments, which I didn't, unfortunately, it would tell me why I did this. So maybe I made a change per an ECN notice. When I did the check-in, I probably should have put change per ECN, number, whatever it is. But I can compare them side by side. I can go look at an earlier version if I want to, right, so that I can get a feel for it. I can go into the page of that earlier version. Maybe I want to know who was the original designer on this, right? When was the timeline? When was this part started? All of those things are inside built-in information as you're going. Things you can't get from Windows Explorer, right, if you're working on a network drive. What else did I want to show you in here? Let me just think. Probably got a better example of the history. There's a version 9, so this is one that I've been really playing around with. I changed the whole probably 5 times over the last month, just goofing around with it. You can go in again, just looking at it, right? I can go in and I can do some markup to it. I can measure things, right? So I can go in here and select the surface. Right, so I can get a radius dimension or a diameter dimension. I can measure a distance across things. I can add notes to it, save the annotation. Right, so again, a lot of little built-in tools into the Creo view. But I really wanted this one. I wanted to show you the history specific. And you can see the comments that I've added along the way. So this was an example. I did change hole size per ECN, all that kind of stuff. Right, so it makes it real good. Like I said, the best part of this is a couple things. Companies they're not going to lose their designs. They're not saved on somebody's hard drive crashing. This is on a server. It's being backed up. It's a safe, central location. I can access this. Like I said, this is in Kansas City. I'm in Philadelphia, so I can access it from just about anywhere. There are some mobile things now with the iPad and the iPhone. I'm not an iPhone person. I'm actually an Android, so it doesn't work well for me. But the iPad stuff works pretty good. All right, so I wanted to then go into some Pro-E end of this. And I need this address. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually start Pro-E with not connecting to a server, and I'm going to connect to the server. And that address is what Pro-E is going to need to find their server. So I closed out Internet Explorer. I'm going to launch Creo 2.0. We'll let that start up here. So even as a native, as a Pro-E user, I've been doing this a long time. I've kind of lived through the whole network drive situation where we were all trying to work together, and somebody has a drawing of an assembly that I'm working on. I think I'm all done for the day. I save my assembly. He still has the drawing open. He saves the drawing. It overwrites everything I just did. The old saying of "he who saves last wins." Those things are kind of gone, right? So you're dealing with one piece of truth. You're not dealing with, hoping that somebody doesn't have it open as you're working on it, or yelling out, or email everybody. Anybody got this thing open? It's a much easier way to deal with the CAD document stuff itself, or the CAD files themselves. So I haven't. I'm not connected right now. So and I'm going to start this again in a second just to show you once you've connected the first time, it's pretty good. So I've got no server. I'm just going to go in here and register a new server, and this might be, this part is just a name, so I'm just going to call this the test demo. The location is the important part, right? This is where I'm telling it where to go on the internet to go find my Windchill server. So that's the address for my Windchill server. Say check. It's going to go out. Ping the server. It's going to ask for my credentials, who I am. I've given it my username and my address. Normally I don't remember my credentials on computers, but this is my everyday computer, so it's just connected automatically here. Say OK. It's going to go back and get a list of workspaces. So that's the workspace that I really want to work on. I'm online, so that's an important status. It's going to give me a little icon here with like a little blue dot to let me know that, hey, that's what's going on. So you can see there, kind of locked onto that workspace. It showed up in my common folders now as my Windchill cabinet, my workspace, and if I look at my folder tree, it'll be that workspace. So there's my regular hard drive, right? So I can bring files in and load them into Windchill from my hard drive. But there's my workspace. I shouldn't have anything in here, hopefully. Like I said, I'm usually really good about being clean and efficient. So I got a couple things in here from the other day. So that caught me. That was a couple days ago. I was working on some stuff. I don't normally store stuff in my workspace, but it's not checked out either. So this is safe. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just I have my own little personal habits that I like, and clean is one of them. So I'm actually just going to remove these because nothing's changed. Everything's checked in. I don't have anything checked out here. I'm just going to get them out of my workspace. So that's out of my workspace. So I might go want to work on something, or just like we were doing with Internet Explorer, I can go dig around, right? So I can go look at my product. I can look at my CAD documents. This is all Internet Explorer built right within ProE. It's not an extra client. It's, you know, everybody has Internet Explorer. It also works with Chrome and Mozilla. I tend to use Internet Explorer. It seems to work pretty good for me. But again, I don't have to open things in ProE. I can go just look at things. But I might want to go open that drawing and make a change, or open another part and make a change. So I'm going to dig in a little bit different here. And we'll go, let's say we want to check this out, or let's just open it in ProE to start with, just to take a look at it. Because by default, what ProE will do when you say open in Creo is it will just download it. So that's an important factor. So this is not checking anything out. This is just downloading it, bringing it into a workspace so I can look at it. So if we go back, there's my drawing, right? So if we go back and we look at our workspace itself, it has downloaded my drawing, right? So it downloaded the part, downloaded the drawing, the format. And I can tell it's downloaded because there's no marks here saying it's checked out. So 10 people could have, you know, this thing downloaded and be looking at it at the same time. There's no limit to how many people can kind of come in here. The minute I start to modify stuff or change something, like, so let's go in and change a hole size, it'll say, oh, that thing's not checked out, right? You want to check it out now? Yeah, well, I want to make a change. I want to change it from 27.5 to 27. So I say, okay. It asks me about the part that I'm going to work on also. Again, I say, okay. And I make a change. So it's 27. Now, this is not the only way you could work on this. I could have started this whole demo by, you know, instead of downloading this drawing, I could have checked the drawing out. But now when we go back to our workspace, we can see that this thing has been checked out, right? And it doesn't show it's being saved until I come back here and I actually save it. So if I say File, Save, and then I go over to my workspace, now not only will it be checked out, but it will be changed and it'll want to be checked back in. So that was simple enough. I made a simple change on a hole. I'm done. I want to take them and I want to check them back in. So here's our little icons above here. I'm going to do a check in. And like I showed you, one of the things that I'm a big believer is comments. So in the real world, if I was going to make a change to that drawing, it probably was going to be, hey, changed hole per ECN number 25667, whatever, right? So that's a permanent bit of information that's going to stay tied to these changes. And they were in work. They were not released, so I didn't have to worry about promoting or not promoting or doing any of the other type techniques. So I'm checking that back in now. And again, it's Kansas City from Philadelphia, so it's going across the internet to get there. It's been checked back in. By default, it's not removing from my workspace, but that's a setting that I can, manipulate if I wanted to automatically get it out of my workspace. But I tend to go back up and check before I do anything else. So I just want to go back and verify that it did what I thought it was going to do, right? So we just made a change on 220 at 12:30, right? So I can go in there. It's now -3. I can look at my information. I can look at my history. And you can see there's my ECN number changed right there. So to me, those are the kind of things that are very important. And this, now anybody could access this. It's been checked back in. They can go look at it. They can go, they could check it out if they wanted to. They could go open it up, do whatever they want. In the beginning, when I was showing you the home page in Internet Explorer, I said there was a tool. So let me just close this out here. Filer is not displayed. I'm going to clear out my workspace. So I'm clearing out my workspace. And again, I told you I'm a very organized person. That's, pretty typical. I got a job, project, whatever it is. I go find what I have to do, check it out, change it, save it, check it back in, clear out my workspace and go. Now that obviously doesn't work for everything. A lot of times you're going to have designs. You can, be working on this stuff for a week, 2 weeks. I will, incrementally check them in so I don't lose stuff. I want to be careful. There's an upload as well. So even if you didn't want to go all the way, put it all the way up into the server so other people could see it, you could at least upload it, which creates a copy on the server of your workspace so that if your computer crashed, you could always get it back and get to it. So even if I don't want to share it with everybody, I can still upload it as I go when I make changes. And I think that's kind of an important part. I know a lot of the engineers and designers I talk to, one of the things is they're worried is while they're designing, other people will be grabbing their stuff and they're, they're a little concerned about that. So the upload gives you that ability to control it. One of the things I wanted to show was, and whether I was in Internet Explorer or within Creo, one of the things might be that, hey, if I went to this page for this drawing and somebody else had it checked out, first of all, it would say checked out by, it would give me a name. But then the other part of that is I really want to know when it gets checked back in. I want to see when that thing is ready. I want the system to tell me when it's ready to be worked on. So as a manager or as a boss or marketing or whoever, they can go in and say, hey, I want to subscribe. And like I said, this is one of my favorite tools because when you're collaborating, you always want to know when somebody else is getting done. Now, we all live with, hey, send me an email when you're done with that. And that's okay. Most places can get by that, but there are those times where you get called out. It's a Friday afternoon, something happens, you got to take off quick. If you get the email, that person might be there, waiting for that email or waiting for some confirmation. So what they can do instead of waiting for you, or you can even subscribe somebody else if you want to, but you could say, hey, when that thing gets checked in, or when that thing gets life cycled from, in work to released, notify me. Tell me when that happens. So that way I'll know. But I can also, like I put, that's my user, but I can go add other people from the database of the users and put them on, that subscription. So I could go search for somebody in here, put them on, add them to the participant, and then just go from there. But I'll just leave myself. I don't want to tie anybody else to this. What this is asking for me here is it's going to send me an email when that thing gets promoted. So I need to see that email and make sense of it. So the subject in this case says notice of promotion, and I determine this, right? So it's going to make the most sense to me because I wrote it. Just letting you know that it is promoted. Right, and I can subscribe to say, hey, only do this for the next month. If it takes longer than that, I don't want to know. But chances are you're going to want to know. So hit finish, and then it creates a little subscription. If you remember on that home page, I had a couple. I had a subscription that was set to, tell me when checkout or check-in happens to this particular part. And again, that home page brings me right back to that part. So this happens to be the piston pin part. Oops. But it's just a nice, right on my home page, regardless of whether I go to Internet Explorer or go through Creo. I'm still in Pro E. It's going to have those subscriptions, right? So that's just a nice way to control your subscriptions. Under the quick links, there's all kinds of help, right? So there's as much help as you could possibly want as far as reading through and different books and, strategies and techniques. So there's a huge help center built into the software to help you. Right, so it gives you the Windchill fundamentals, all kinds of different little bits of information for you. Again, the customize, it's all still there. So it's just a nice, to me, night and day difference from using network drives or any of that kind of stuff. And if you're using Windchill already, the bigger brother of this software, the next part, I think Jason's got a couple more slides he wanted to show just to kind of show the difference between them. So I'm pretty much wrapped up. That's what I kind of had ready to show. If you guys have questions more than that, then we'll get them emailed back to Jason, and then Jason will pass them on either to myself or we have our Windchill installer extraordinaire, Sukumar. If you've had the chance to talk to Sukumar, he's got the most knowledge as far as the product itself. I'm more of that engineer type user guy. I'm that user. He's more of the installer and has some of that deeper context. So I'm going to pass this back over to Jason, and I appreciate your time. Let us know. Jason?
Thanks, Kevin. That was a great presentation. See if we can get my slides going here. I just wanted to take a few minutes just to kind of cover some of the differences between PDM Essentials and Windchill PDM Link. To start off, the packaging of PDM Essentials, the great part about it is everything is included in the package. The Windchill server, the SQL server, all the workgroup managers, the Elements Direct, MathCAD, Solidworks, Inventor, AutoCAD. So if you are a multi-CAD environment, it can be a much more feasible purchase than it is for Windchill if you got to buy all the workgroup managers individually. Window-only platform. It is for a single physical or virtual machine deployment, and it's kind of built for 25 approximately CAD users and then 200 viewers. Things that aren't supported in PDME that are supported in Windchill, so things that if you really need, you will need Windchill PDM Link for. Some of these are in the works to be included in PDME down the road, but we don't want to sell you anything on the future. So replication, if you want a full automated change management process, you'll need Windchill PDM Link. You can't do PDM Essentials promotion only like Kevin showed. Only CAD bombs, no part bombs. If you want to integrate with your ERP system with some of the out-of-box integrations, you'll need Windchill PDM Link. If you want to do any kind of ECAD integrated workgroup manager, for a few of you out there that probably have some CATIA or UG, you want to include them in Windchill. And then, of course, there's a lot of modules that come along with Windchill that many people probably don't even know about or unaware of. It's kind of a list of some of the things that some of the additional modules in Windchill can cover. Everything from quality, if you have material substances, maybe you want to do Project Link to communicate for projects, risk compliance. There's stuff for service lifecycle. There's a ton of different products along with Windchill that many people never probably even are aware of or even look deep into. If you ever wanted to kind of learn about the whole Windchill solutions, you can call us or have one of our reps come on. We can kind of walk you through. We also do things, assessments, where we can sit down with you and kind of help you map out the best plan to get to where you're trying to go. That's about all I had, so I'm going to open up a few questions that people had, and we can have Kevin answer them, and I'll answer a few if we can get to them. Kevin, what version of Windchill were you using?
10.1.
All right. Can someone check back in a part that was partially modified so that someone else can check it out later and continue making the change, all without it changing the revision and completed by the second person?
The revision change is not automated. It's a version change. Anytime you check into Windchill, it'll be a version, that dot level change, but the revision itself is a it's a process that you've got to do separate. So the answer is yes, unless you're worried about the version changing the number, and then you'd be stuck.
All right, can you use this off-site as well, or is it just through the internet?
You can go offline. If you say you were in work on a Friday, you pull down an assembly, you can work offline, come back in on Monday, and synchronize back to your server.
All right, what's involved with migration from PDM Essentials to Windchill PDM Link? And I can answer that one. It's just anything, starting with Windchill 10.2, there will be no migration. You just have to upgrade your licenses and, of course, send out the purchase, like full SQL server or whatever else you're going to use. How much does 10.1 different from 10.0 with PDM Essentials, Kevin? Is there any major?
I didn't see a ton of differences when I switched from 10.0 to 10.1. As far as a user is concerned, it wasn't drastic. It was the big drastic was like 9 to 10 was the big differences.
All right, is there a migration path from PDM Link to PDME? At this current time, there isn't any, or do I know that PTC will plan to? This was kind of, I guess, made for kind of the small, medium business. They don't want a bunch of customers moving backwards. They want people moving forward down the path. I mean, if it's something you want to look into, I'm sure you might have to get licenses, and then we could work it. You'd have to migrate. I don't know if you can just go back, so I'll have to ask PTC with that one. As far as their stance is, there is no backwards migration, but I'm sure that things can be worked out. Can you get a bill of material from a Creo assembly and print all the drawings related to the assembly at once?
Not that I know of. That could be a good question to pass on to Soup, though. I do not think there's an automated way to have it go find all the drawings for that.
Can someone use PDM Link to link to a client with PDM Link?
Could you read that again?
Can somebody use PDM Essentials and link to a client who has PDM Link?
No, because what will happen is when you link, like from Creo, when you link to the server, you're going to get whatever server that is.
Yeah, an answer for that could be too to either buy a seat of PDM Link, fly it like external user also, and they could set you up in Project Link where you could log in with them.
Yeah, I don't know about license-wise. I'm just saying that you would not go through PDME to get into PDM Link, right? When you logged into PDM Link, you'd actually be on a PDM Link server. But licensing, that's a whole other story. I don't know what the licensing is there.
Is a license tied up when a user is simply viewing a part through either Internet or Windows Explorer? This is the same as Creo licensing is. It isn't like Windchill where it's a per-user license. So if someone is using the license, it's going to be tied up. But like if you have a couple, like say, three licenses extra for 10 or 15 viewers, as long as they're not there at the same time, it'll work. It's the same as Creo. You have to check out a license. I think that's about all the questions for today. Any other questions we didn't get to? Someone will be in contact with you over the next day to ask you any questions about the presentation or anything else. So if we didn't get to your question, please just let them know, and we'll also forward the list of questions to everybody. Thank you, everybody, for their time, and we'll hope to be in touch with you.